and it is Friday the 13th, so I thought that would be a good day to bring in my friends Larry and Dan from the Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project. We went out last Friday to the Tinker Swiss Cottage. Dan, that was an incredible experience.
Well, compared to the last time that you went with us, absolutely. Yeah, it was a definite home run.
So let's talk a little bit about the history of Tinker Swiss Cottage, because maybe not everybody knows about it. Here in Rockford, a historic site that is known for paranormal activity.
Yeah, unfortunately, off the top of my head, I don't have all the historical information.
Yeah, we don't need all the details, but just kind of the basics.
I know that the Tinkers and the Mannies were one of the premier families of Rockford. I mean, one of the families.
I mean, the one thing that sticks out is that when I was told the history while I was there, which was cool, I got a history of it, is that they started the Rockford Park District.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was just one of many things that they have done around here.
Right, absolutely. And, they were very big in the community. They had it was an orphanage?
Yes.
Or a young children's home on the property. And they worked with the kids a lot. And they were very, very involved in the community. So, as the family got older and started passing on and everything, basically they just shut the house up. Well, now that it's a museum, I think Sam in our live stream said there was like 11,000 artifacts, and 98% of them are from the Tinker family. It's like the whole family just left the house, clothing, dishes, everything, and it's all still there.
See, and that's incredible that it would all be in place like that.
Just imagine your own house right now as a museum.
Right.
Everything that
nobody would want to see any of that
stuff. The Cub shirt you're wearing right now. The Cub shirt you're wearing is on a hanger on display.
Wow, that's Double T's vinyl collection. That's awesome.
Absolutely. And that's what it ended up being.
Well, and then there were several deaths in the house of the family, correct?
Pretty much every single family member died in the house. And for various different reasons. A lot of them were old age.
Right.
But, I think one of the rooms of the one with the Christmas tree, I believe, was like Ward A.
Okay.
Whenever someone was sick or on their way out, that was the room. Everyone went to that room and you got better or you didn't. And then Mary, her father, had a room upstairs, which is right now they're storing stuff in it. But I don't know, did you get to go in that room?
No.
Okay. So in that room, they actually lowered the window so that he could see out the window.
Oh, okay.
So, they did a lot of things to that house to make it comfortable, and even in the afterlife, it's still their house.
And not only were the family members, you also have the people that worked for them, the staff. And there were staff members that had passed away on the premises.
That I'm not 100% sure of.
Right.
I know for a fact the majority of the family did.
Okay. And then you have, we've talked about it in the past, from Camp Grant. There was the Spanish Flu Outbreak. A lot of the soldiers that had passed on, they had brought to the train tracks there so they could take them out.
The amount of people that died daily with the Spanish flu, it just got to be too much.
Okay.
And they had to start getting these contagious bodies out of there. The easiest way to do that was the rail line that was right next to both locations. They put them on a train, took them over to the Tinker Garden, and laid them out in the garden. And for some reason, some of them stuck around. I don't know why. Maybe they're stuck. Maybe they just happened to come by when we were there. But we started getting answers.
And then you have, there was a cemetery that was there that had been moved. Mm-hmm. And there were some of the bodies that they never found.
Yes.
That are still there. And an Indian burial ground is right there on the land also.
Not only that, all of that stuff. And then you have flowing water on top of a limestone cliff.
Wow.
So every single element for the paranormal is in this one little spot in Rockford.
See, that's incredible. All right. We're going to talk about everything we found and all the things we did here in a couple minutes, all right?
Sounds great.
All right, stick around. It's the Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project. Dan and Larry hanging out. We're going to talk about our investigation at Tinker Swiss Cottage and our communication with ghosts that happened last Friday. It's Double T. I have Dan and Larry from the Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project. They took me out on an investigation last Friday to Tinker Swiss Cottage in Rockford on the west side, and we had some fun, Dan, didn't we?
Yeah, it absolutely, it blew my mind. I thought we would have activity. We had lots more than we bargained for.
So you've been there before.
Yes.
And so you've experienced some activity there.
Yes.
But was it like our experience?
I think that this time that you went with us was probably the most that I've experienced there. I think that definitely the Dowsing Rod sessions added something to it, because that's not something that our team does.
Right.
That we will start doing. So I think that really added a lot to it. They were just very talkative. But if you noticed, when we were getting ready to leave, probably, 30 minutes before we left, everything just went...
Kind of shut down. They were done.
They were done.
So let's start out with some of the, obviously there's cameras and video and all that's going on, but one of the first pieces of equipment is the meter. You have a meter that detects energy. Is that it?
It detects electromagnetic fields.
Okay.
And as you could see, we would test things that wouldn't go off, and then we'd lay it down. We'd say, okay, can you manipulate the meter? Can you touch? We don't call it a meter, because people back then are going to go, what are they talking about?
Right.
So if you heard me say, hey, can you put your hand on the black box with the lights on it?
Right.
And sometimes we would get hits on that.
Right.
There's no reason we should have.
Right.
None of our phones were close enough. My phone was running a live stream, so we know I didn't have a phone. So yeah, the meters are probably one of our biggest tools and best tools. The cameras, of course, you're going to be able to document and catch what you're going to catch.
Right. And then you have the ghost box, which is the machine that they talk through.
Yeah.
So it kind of scans frequencies.
Frequencies. We can either scan FM or AM frequencies. We can scan them in reverse or forward. And we usually scan in reverse. Now, that doesn't mean that the words come out in reverse.
Right.
It just scans the frequency in reverse. But we've had a lot of cool answers come across at Tinker, and we had a few when you did it.
Right.
And Larry sent you the video. So
right. So if you go to the Eagle YouTube channel, you can see a video of some of our investigation that was there, and that includes the ghost box. So we did get some responses from the ghost box, but something new, like you're bringing up the rods. What exactly are they called again?
Dowsing rods.
Dowsing rods. And so the way that you were explaining to me about them is that the rods that they used to find water with.
Yes.
Back in the old days out in the West.
Back in the old days, they used to call them divining rods. I don't know if it was because of divine intervention. I don't know. When I was a kid, I actually saw a gentleman use dowsing rods to find water on a farm, and he found 3 spots where the well drillers should drill. When the well drillers came out and then found those same spots that he had marked, I'll be darned. I mean, I watched it over a 3-week period. Every place that he pointed out is where they found water. So
wow.
There's something to it.
Right. So Sam, who's the director out there at Tinker Swiss Cottage, she had her own, and they're a little bit different than the ones that use water. They're copper,
right,
and there's handles, and then there's the bar that sticks out. Now, we all use them, and there is really no way to manipulate them.
No.
I think if you tried to move them on your own, they're just going to swing.
Pretty much.
Swing around and around and around. And we were watching, you were watching, I was watching your hands, you were watching your hands, and then I did it, you did, we all did it.
Yes.
And you hold them in your hands, and we were getting responses from spirits through those rods.
Yeah. And when I was doing it, and I don't know how you felt about it, when I was doing it, I was holding those things, because they're on a pivot with ball bearings in there. So there's no way, like you said, and Larry was documenting everything you and I and Tessa and everybody did.
And it's in the video if you go to the Eagle YouTube channel.
If you would have slid your thumbs up there to try to manipulate them, that would have been caught.
Right.
I noticed when you were doing them, you were holding them tight. I was, Sam was, everybody was. And those things were doing, and I thought what was really interesting is when you would talk, the rods would point at you. When Larry would say something, they'd point at him.
Right.
Or if we said names, if we said, hey, point at Terry.
Right.
Point at Larry. Point at Dan. It was absolutely the most amazing thing I've ever been part of.
And when we asked, where are you standing in the room? And at one point, the spirit was standing behind us. They turned completely around and were in Sam's face.
Yes.
Which almost poking her in the eye and stuff. Like, she wouldn't be doing that.
No, absolutely. And the other thing is, how would she do that?
Right.
We're all watching her.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah. And that was the thing. I mean, you got to go to the YouTube channel and watch the video of us doing it, because it was amazing. And they would respond. It was cross them if yes, spread them apart if no. They would point in different directions. It blew my mind.
Yeah, I was absolutely, because first time you, first time us.
Right.
So, that was really, really cool.
And I was just impressed. And so Sam, who's the director over there, she's kind of like Tessa in your guys' group. She's sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So she can communicate with people.
Yes. And Sam says she feels them more, whereas Tessa, who's our team sensitive, she can actually hear them talking to her.
Right.
And she can see them.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely weird.
When it comes to visiting Tinker Swiss Cottage, how does this one rate to the other times you've been?
I think this was probably our top time there.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Hands down.
Very, very cool. I'm talking to Larry and Dan from the Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project. Stick around for a couple more minutes, all right? I want to finish up with you guys here. I've got Dan and Larry from the Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project hanging out with me. We went over to Tinker Swiss Cottage for an investigation last Friday. Once again, thank you so much for taking me out. Such a good time. If people believe it or not, whatever, check out the video on our YouTube channel, the Eagle YouTube channel, and check it out for yourself.
Well, the question is now, after you experienced it, what do you believe?
I was very skeptical for years and years and years, and I've never seen anything like this. So it leans me a little bit more towards the believing, for sure.
Well, I think what's important is, just to let you guys know, Terry has decided to go on another investigation with us coming up. And this time we're going to take him to the Roadhouse down in Oregon.
Okay.
And that place is very haunted. It's been featured on the Dead Files. It's been featured on a couple different internet shows. We've been there several times. Very, very dark history. A lot of it revolves around the Mary Jane Reed murder. I think that one is going to rate right up there with Tinker with you.
Okay.
So, hold your opinion until after we do that one. But, the biggest thing that I want to say is that a lot of people, and you had us on during the month of October for Halloween and stuff. We catch more stuff in the winter months than we do any other time of the year.
Right.
And in the daylight. I mean, we've caught so much in broad daylight.
Well, that's the other thing is we're sitting with all the lights on.
Yes.
In Tinker Swiss Cottage. We're not sitting there in the dark to flashlights or candlelights or anything. No, this where all the lights are on.
And things are going on.
And things are going on. And they do some tours and stuff there. So if you ever get a chance, I would definitely recommend. If you haven't been to Tinker Swiss Cottage in Rockford, you got to go check it out.
Oh, especially during this time of year because it's so beautiful with all the Christmas stuff up. Absolutely.
What do you guys got coming up in the near future?
Well, we're going to continue to be shooting Expedition Entity, which can be seen on paranormalwarehouse.com. Or you can go over to their Facebook page. And I think the episode they've got going right now is Starved Rock State Park, which we caught some really cool stuff down there. And then Larry and I have a book coming out that's called The Ghosts of the Black Hawk War. It will be out after the holiday in early to mid-January.
Another big piece of area history?
Absolutely, that a lot of people are really unaware about. So we've got those two things going on. We actually are going to meet with somebody as soon as we leave here, and you may want to become part of that, too. It is part of Rockford history.
Okay, cool. I like the sound of that. Up. If people are looking for you guys, on the internet and everything, where should they look?
You can find us at www.ghosthunterdannorvellproject.com. Oh, there's no project in that. Sorry. Oh, Larry changed that. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. We're all over the place. Just go Google search Ghosthunter Dan Norvell, and you will find everything.
Right. Check out some of the videos, and you can go see my video from my experience with them at the Eagle YouTube channel. But look everywhere else too, because there's some good stuff. And then you decide for yourself: do you believe it or not?
Pretty much.
Well, the important thing too is if you go to the Facebook, you're going to see a lot of live content.
Right.
There's 3 or 4 live videos from Double T's trip.
Right.
Tinker. Pretty much everywhere we go, you're going to get a couple live videos. And some of them, like the 360 video we shot with you, that's the investigation. You're experiencing the investigation as we do it, and now you're actually a part of it.
Right.
Which is, for some people, that's their only chance they're going to get to see the building because they're out on the East Coast or the West Coast. But now they're investigating it because of the live stream.
And interestingly enough, before we go, the 360 video, you and I and all of us, we were out of the building for 40 minutes out in the barn.
Yeah.
Which was also a first for me. I've never been in the barn before, which we had great results. That building was empty and that recording was going. And when I went back and watched that, I could hear some footsteps and stuff. And I know for a fact you were there with us, Gary. None of us were in there.
No.
Sam locked the door. That building was empty.
Yeah.
So how are we hearing people move around it?
Right.
It was crazy.
Right. I'm getting tingles, man. It's kind of crazy. Go check them out. The Ghosthunter Dan Norvell Project. Dan and Larry, thank you so much, guys, for coming in. It's always great.
No problem.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Absolutely.